everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Hail Caesar here as we work our way to the end of the factions in the series here. So we're taking a look today at the Plantagenet English, roughly mid-12th through 13th centuries AD. So as always, we get a bunch of keywords here, so if you're not quite sure, Baron's War, of course, separate game on its own, really cool game, but that gives you roughly that time period. So if you want to play something larger scale than that as a skirmish game, you got that. We got all kinds of familiar names there and other things. So this is a list that's got a lot going on, so we're going to dive in here. It is one where we are required to take infantry and cavalry, so we can't completely overload one side, but we have to have at least 25% in each. We could go heavy one way or the other, or just a balanced force. But interestingly here too, we actually get a mercenary infantry category and all that stuff. So let's jump in. So the base ones here, the cavalry and infantry, 25% is pretty easy. On the cavalry side, knights have to be 50% of the cavalry, so knights and sergeants. And then on the feudal / mercenary non-missile infantry has to be 25% of the infantry. So as we say here, so at least a quarter of the non-skirmish infantry units in the army must be non-missile armed feudal heavy infantry, mercenary heavy infantry, or mercenary medium infantry. So you got all that stuff going on too. Now bows have to be 50% of the missile armed infantry if they're present. So if bow armed medium, which is cool that we have medium missile troops, or light infantry are included, they must make up at least half of those units there. Divisions, pretty normal stuff there, and then skirmishers here up to 25% of the infantry. So let's jump in and see what we're getting ourselves into. Alrighty guys, jumping in here with the infantry, we got all kinds of choices, and we get quite a bit of really top-notch choices as well here in different levels. So we start off with the feudal heavy infantry, your bog standard heavy infantry unit, 26 points. We can upgrade them 3 more points. It's getting us closer to 30, right? So starting to get expensive, but that'll give them long spears, which is pretty cool as an extra option for us. Then we can go to the mercenary infantry, where we're paying a little bit more, paying a premium basically. Same set of upgrades, right? We can go with long spears, but the mercenaries are drilled by default. And then mercenary medium infantry, basically just a step down, right? Medium profile, but again, still drilled all the way across the board. Same long spear upgrade if we want to go that route. The town militia, if we want to just get some dirt cheap blocks of infantry out there. They still have a clash of 6, which is pretty solid. Even they can have long spears. I'm not sure if we want to invest the extra points with them, but could do in a pinch, right? Yeah, we get the 6.5 profile there, 18 and +3 for the upgrade. And then on the last little bit of this side here, medium infantry, so we at least get the medium profile with an actual save, right? 5 up there, and clash and sustain of 5. So, but crossbows, right? Been a while since we've seen those, but as a default normal unit here, 3 and 3 for our missiles, fantastic at 24 points a pop. And if we wanted to get a discount and run the small unit option, we have that as well for a solid 6-point discount. We also have, this is a cool combination here, so we have mercenary medium infantry, same profile as above basically, but they're mercenaries, so that we have drilled missile troops, right, which we just really don't think we've had much, if at all, for that. And again, we have the small unit discount if we want to go that size there. Starting at 27 points though, which is fairly expensive for missile troops, but they're still medium and drilled, right? And then again, small units fairly cheap, or relatively cheap, we should say. If we want to just have a nice regular type of unit too, we got the medium infantry bows, right, which is one of our requirements if we're going to be running those troops. But again, medium profile, 3 and 3 for our range, so we're going to be throwing all kinds of missiles. So as you can tell so far, we have some really badass infantry, and then we're also able to just shoot like crazy with this list so far, right? Haven't even gotten to the cavalry yet, so very potent. We then could go, if we wanted to spend a little bit less on troops here for the missiles, we got light infantry with bows, and here's another cool upgrade that we don't always see. So obviously light infantry, we've got to be very careful as they're super fragile, 20 points though. But for 1 extra point and no other like restriction really, we can pay a point and give them the marksman special rule, which is pretty dang cool. And then if we want to field them as small units as well, we could have just regular small units or small infantry, or not small infantry, but small unit marksmen too, at 15 points a pop. Pretty nasty stuff there. Then we get a couple of cheaper options. We got the peasant skirmishers with mixed arms as small units. Obviously, they're not going to do much, but they're also ridiculously cheap, right? So we just got to fill out some space. And depending on the scenario, maybe we just need some troops like to defend our areas or hold certain points, right? We let the main folks do the fighting, and then these guys can kind of just be in the second line or third line. We got our regular skirmisher package here, so the javelin option still kicking around even after all these centuries and millennia of going through the time periods. But then also slingers make an appearance here, so a little bit more long range firepower with them, 11 and 12 points respectively. And then now we get into some of the heavy hitters. The cavalry, the English knights slash sergeants, heavy cavalry with lances by default. 33 points, about what we'd expect. But then if we want to, and again, no other restriction, we can just pay the extra points, getting us to 37, which is a lot, but basically we could have stubborn cavalry in whatever quantity we really want. So really nice stuff there. Definitely a potent unit, the fact that we can have just a lot of stubborn cavalry. Another one here, we haven't seen this yet. So we get heavy cavalry, although a little bit misleading in that sense. We get the heavy cavalry save, which is cool, but certainly not the fighting profile, but still a 6 on clash. But heavy cavalry with crossbows fielded as a small unit. We only get the one. I always like these weird little units that we get, just super flavorful, fun to model as well. But 22 points for that, not bad at all. Still giving us a 2 on long range, and if the opponent wants to waste time shooting at them, cool, or fighting them, but they still have a 4 up morale save, which is pretty cool too. And then a couple other choices here to round things out. The Welsh medium cavalry with spears or javelins, just a cheaper option, but we could make them heavy if we wanted to spend the extra points. Brings us to an even 30, and we get just another heavy cavalry unit. But really, if we're going to be taking heavy cavalry, we're going to be taking the English knights and sergeants, right? So really, just again, if you feel like taking them, modeling and painting, I guess, and maybe a cheaper option. But really, we should be spending points on the better unit. But then to round out, we do get Welsh light cavalry with spears and or javelins as a 1 of, and here again we get one more special rule, so these guys will actually have feigned flight, which can always be useful, especially just as a 1 of unit, not a bad investment. And then everything, of course, is rounded out with leadership 8. So a fantastic list, especially for the time period here, right? It'd be fun to try this against other contemporary armies that we've been working through. But really, you have access to just about everything you need. There's no artillery, you don't need it. You have fantastic infantry at all the different categories. You have fantastic cavalry, maybe not super elite like some armies where they're just throwing on like stubborn elite and other stuff, but the fact that there's no other restrictions aside from just the numbers that you have to take, you have just invest the points. You can have stubborn all the way across the board. If you don't want to take any of the other cavalry, you have heavy cavalry, lances, and stubborn as much as you want. Ridiculous amount of missile fire in the list too. You have missile troops that really can duke it out a little bit in combat too, if they happen to find themselves in there, right? You got tons of medium infantry with shooting capability. You got the one unit there with the mobile heavy cavalry crossbows, right? Just a weird unit in and of itself. But then all that infantry with just drilled all the way across the board. You got the regulars, you got the mercs, just a lot of cool stuff. So this list definitely can do it all. If it's not there's not anything that's busted or just way too many choices or units that have like 2, 3, 4 special rules or something. Just lots of access to the one thing that they do. So like again, drilled, tons of that. We can have a lot of marksmen in our light infantry bows and all the stubborn cavalry we want. So really, really good stuff. Let us know what you think about the Plantagenets here as we work our way through more of the Hail Caesar factions. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want to support the channel, hop on over to the link in the pinned comment, and anything you buy from Warlord there actually will help us out a little bit too. So appreciate everybody who does that. Thanks for watching.